Developing the affairs of a chaotic Tuesday looms as both NPP and NDC members of Parliament insist they will occupy the majority side of Parliament in the next sitting tomorrow.
Also to come, operations of key public agencies, including the Electoral Commission, grinds to a halt as Public Services Workers Union declare indefinite strike.
A lot later, flag bearer of the People's National Convention, Bernard Mona, serves notice he will head to the Supreme Court after an unsuccessful attempt to overturn the EC's disqualification. It's a brand new week after what has been a restful weekend. Hello there, welcome to yet another edition of NewsCentral. I am Mawina Igeta.
And I am Kemeni Amano. The news starts right now. Now, Parliament is set for a showdown. That's the looming reality, as both the NPP and the NDC maintain they are the majority caucus in the dying days of the 8th Parliament. The decision to declare some 4 seats vacant by Speaker Alban Sumana Bagbin and the subsequent Supreme Court order staying same has left citizens and law experts alike scratching their heads as to what could be possibly be tomorrow. The NDC minority have stated that their result to holding on to the majority status, arguing they are unaware of any law that allows Parliament's decision to be stayed. Well, now, you may have seen from the weekend how the NDC caucus in Parliament held a news conference insisting that, listen, we are the majority side because the Speaker declared so. And on Tuesday, the Parliament will reconvene for a sitting. And it's going to be a really interesting Tuesday, considering that both sides have declared that they are the majority side in Parliament. In a bit, we'll bring you some sound clips from that event and many others that you've heard since this news broke last week. But let's get onto the phone lines now and speak to First Majority Whip Habib Idrisu, who's also MP for Tolon constituency. Honourable, thank you so much for joining us. But listen, we are looking at a very interesting Tuesday ahead of us. Many have considered it what could be a tussle for the majority side. What is it looking like for you?
For us, we are calm. There's no problem. We are majority in Parliament. And for that matter, there's nothing in contention. We are been majority from the beginning of this 8th Parliament until that was on Thursday when the Speaker made a ruling to say that the majority, some members of Parliament were disqualified, and then of which, even though he did not make a pronouncement that the NDC are now majority, but he tried to claim that. So on Tuesday, we are majority. We'll sit on our side and conduct our business as usual.
Do you see also the other side claiming to the same majority and how it could play out tomorrow?
Yes, like I said, how can they claim that they are majority? On what basis are they majority? The New Patriotic Party on our side, our members of Parliament, we are law-abiding citizens, and for that matter, we don't believe in chaos like the NDC believe in. When you look at what happened on Thursday, we could also elect to say that we are not going to respect the decision of the Speaker. But because we respect the decision of the Speaker, and then we went to the appropriate form, which is the Supreme Court, to set aside the ruling of the Speaker stay until the finality on the matter. As we are not abiding citizens. The Supreme Court has made a decision. It is the highest court of the land.
I see.
Then, we will obey that. If they said they are majority, that is their thinking. But we are majority in Parliament with 138 members on our side. and they are minority with 137 on their side.
Very well. Honorable Habib, hold your line for me. I'll bring in now Honorable Murtala Mohammed. He's Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, who's also said that nothing will stop the NDC caucus from occupying the majority seats tomorrow. Honorable, you may have heard, Honorable Habib Idrisu also say that, listen, because of the Supreme Court order, they are the majority side. They will be in Parliament tomorrow to occupy their side in Parliament. It means that, the NDC caucus would have to sit on the minority side. Will that be the case?
Well, let me say good afternoon to you and your cherished listeners, and also my brother, Honorable Habib. And what else does one need to say? It is very clear that the MPP finds it very sensible to write to the Supreme Court at the list of any challenge that is raised by their maladministration and the gross incompetence they have demonstrated, to the extent that you have a leader of the House who says that the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land, and therefore the Supreme Court can make any statement contemptuous as the decision of the Supreme Court is to Parliament. They can make that statement and everybody must succumb. Maybe perhaps my brother Habib and the MPP needs to understand that the theory of checks and balances propounded by the likes of John Locke and Professor Montesquieu foresaw some of this gross disregard to the basic arms of government. He needs to be informed that Parliament is one of the most important arms of government in democracy. And in fact, in a democracy, Parliament is even more important than the judiciary. You can have a military dictatorship with judiciary being intact and the executive being intact. You cannot have democracy without Parliament. And that is why that Parliament must be protected at all times. The Supreme Court, they've done what they are supposed to do. I wouldn't question the rightness or the wrongness of what they have done. We also have what we'll do on Tuesday in Parliament. They have done what they need to do. The Supreme Court cannot instruct Parliament as to how we conduct our business.
Very well.
The Supreme Court cannot do that. And in fact, what the Supreme Court can do is interpret a decision that is taken by Parliament, whether it is in sync with the Constitution. But the Supreme Court cannot be seeking to injunct Parliament. What they have done is contempt. And I expect the Speaker to cite those judges for contempt tomorrow. That's what I expect the Speaker to do. As far as we are concerned, the ruling of the Speaker must be respected. Those 4 members of Parliament have no business getting into the chamber tomorrow. That must be made very, very clearly. And this attempt to bring military and police, they should be informed that it is not only one woman who gives birth to a very troublesome child. The military and the police have no business as far as the Chamber of Parliament is concerned. And because they have done that before, that is why they think that they can do that. Let no one... So,
Honorable Murtala, which brings me to the question, what is informing that position that, military will be brought to Parliament tomorrow?
It is very clear they have done that before. And those who did that, they know them. Chairman Bonsu was one. Honorable Abu Jinapo was one. Honorable Nitua was one. They were those who instructed the military to do what they did in the House of Parliament. And I am surprised that the Supreme Court didn't see the need at the time to say that what they did in the chamber was an affront to our democratic group, and it was just unacceptable that the military will have a space in our democratic governance as far as the work of the legislature is concerned. And because they did that, they are deceiving themselves into thinking they will do that. Any military man or any man in uniform who comes to Parliament will see that person in the chamber as a criminal.
Very well.
And will take every action to deal with such a criminal in the chamber tomorrow.
Honorable Murtala, hold the line for me. Let me take that to Honorable Idrisu. You heard Murtala talk about the suspicion that some military people could be used to intimidate, their side in Parliament. I want to hear your reaction to that quickly. Honorable Habib. Well, it would seem that we have lost Honorable Habib over the phone, but we will reconnect with him and find out why the plan to send military to Parliament, as is being alleged by the NDC caucus in Parliament. But I'll stay with Honorable Murtala in that case, and let's talk about tomorrow. Honorable, do you foresee any work being done tomorrow, or tomorrow will be dedicated to a tussle over which side is the majority?
Almost the Speaker gave his ruling on the matter. As far as we are concerned, and as far as the democracy and the Constitution of the Republic of this country is concerned, the Speaker takes the final decision in Parliament. You heard Honorable Habib saying that they can also choose to disrespect and disregard the decision of the Speaker. Now, if you have a leader of the House who would make such a statement brazenly that they can choose to disregard or disrespect the decision of the Speaker, then they have no business in Parliament. Because clearly, if you say that you can decide to disregard the decision of the Speaker, the respect for the decision of the Speaker has nothing to do with the persona or the person called Honorable Button. It has to do with the office he occupies. So if you have a leader of the House who says they can decide to disregard his decision, then what business do they have sitting even in Parliament? Look, the decision of the Speaker must be respected. We expect the Speaker to make a pronouncement on the disrespect and the contempt with which the Supreme Court has treated Parliament. They ought to understand that they can't instruct Parliament how we do our work. Their powers are only excluded to the interpretation of the law. And therefore, when Parliament takes a decision or makes a decision on a matter, they have the power to interpret it to determine whether it is in sync with the Constitution or the laws of this country. So they cannot be seeking to ask Parliament to suspend. Someone should tell me on what basis did they come to the kind of conclusion they have come to. And frankly, they have indeed created more room for people to say that, frankly, and I say this with all the seriousness, that many people have no regard for our judiciary any longer. It's sad that this thing is happening.
I see, Honorable. I appreciate you talking to us. Thank you so much. Murtala Mohammed is MP for Tamale Central constituency. He's also a member of the NDC caucus in Parliament. Earlier was Habib Idrisu, who's Tolon MP, and he's also a member of the NPP caucus. Both of them telling us that the majority side tomorrow, they'll be on the right hand of the Speaker of Parliament, which is where the majority members sit. Or those on the majority side sit. We'll continue to follow the story in subsequent broadcasts. But right now, we want to take you to the venue where the action will be tomorrow, and that's the Accra International Conference Center. Noble Crosby Annan is a man on the story.
Right here is where all the action will be taking place tomorrow, where Parliament is expected to sit. Now, behind this, we're expecting Ghana's democracy to face another major test, where the Speaker of Parliament will or may not accept.
Yeah, I'm afraid we'd have to take you off now because of the terrible audio feedback we're getting from that. But it's something we'll bring you again later here on NewsCentral.
You're still live here on NewsCentral, and that raging controversy as to what really is expected to happen in Parliament tomorrow. A former Foreign Affairs Minister has waded into the controversy over whether or not which side of the House will be seated at the right-hand side of the Speaker tomorrow. Let's take a listen to exactly what she's been saying. We'll hear from her shortly, but like I mentioned, this is NewsCentral, and this certainly is something that we'll be following up for you on live tomorrow, bringing you exactly what happens from the floor of the House. But this is your election command center as well. Now, to some other stories, and one that will be of interest to you, particularly in relation to this year's elections, because public services across the country is set to suffer a major disruption as members of the Public Services Workers Union of the Trades Union Congress begin an indefinite strike today. The industrial action follows what the union says is a government failure to meet its demands for institution-specific allowances despite several attempts to resolve the issue. The union has been agitating for payment of these allowances, which they say is supposed to be compensation for member organizations under the single spine salary structure. The allowances include the Government Support Services Allowance and Public Services Administration Equity Allowance. But after a series of unsuccessful engagements with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, their demands have not been met, leading to this nationwide industrial action. And what you're seeing in your shots are pictures and videos from the headquarters of the Electoral Commission, which is one of the agencies currently on this indefinite strike. Let's take a listen, first off, to the leadership of the Public Services Workers Union who've been justifying the decision to proceed on strike. We'll hear from him shortly, but we're seeking to paint for you a picture for you to understand the institutions which are proceeding on strike, which includes the Audit Service of Ghana, the Electoral Commission, Environmental Protection Agency, the Food and Drugs Authority, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, and that will affect persons who are seeking to travel. The Ghana Grid Company as well is one of such companies, and also the Ghana Meteorological Agency, the Ghana News Agency, the Ghana Revenue Authority, Lands Commission, the National Commission for Civic Education, the National Labour Commission as well, an entity which is supposed to be overseeing the dispute between these unions and then the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. That institution as well is also deciding to proceed on strike. The curious question is, which institution is going to be seeking to negotiate or mediate in these matters? Stanley Nibla, who is my colleague, who's been going or visiting a number of these agencies seeking to understand whether or not they've actually heeded to the request to proceed on strike. He's joined me in the studio. Let's just find out a bit from him. Stanley, where have you been? What's the agency been like? Are they on strike?
So this morning, I have visited about 3 of the institutions, member institutions that are actually partaking in this strike. And then my first port of call was at the Electoral Commission this morning. When I got there, the management who are in charge of taking decision for the Electoral Commission, none of them had reported to work. And then the staff, the supporting staff, none of them have also reported to work as at the time I visited. So I was able to get into the premises of the Electoral Commission to speak to the reception. Actually, there was only one receptionist actually attending to people who wanted to come to the Electoral Commission to probably get information or do one or other thing, one thing or the other. Yeah. But when they got there, they were only told by the receptionist that the commission, the entire body of the commission, they're on a strike, so they should go back and then when they should come back to the commission when the strike is over. When the strike is over, they should come back to actually come and engage whoever they wanted to engage at the commission. From there, I proceeded to the Ghana News Agency, which is also another member of the Public Services Workers Union. And so, at the commission, at the Ghana News Agency, there are 2 unions in there. There is the Public Sector Workers Union and also the Communication Workers Union. So one of these unions is actually on strike. And the other one, which is the Communication Workers Union of the Ghana, they are actually working. They are working. They are actually on duty, ensuring that the activities of Ghana News Agency.
What was the last agency you visited, the last institution?
Then also there is the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, which is another media organization of belonging to the states. So there also, the various newsrooms, the staff of the various newsrooms, that the journalists, they are on duty working. but the other supporting staff from the other departments, they are actually not at work as at the time I reported.
You engaged a number of individuals who are seeking to carry out some business, obviously expressing frustration at the fact that, particularly at the Electoral Commission. What did they tell you?
So there was this dispatch rider who has been sent to come for a check because the person that sent him to the commission had actually done a work for the commission, and so he has been sent to come present an invoice and pick up the check. When he got there, he was turned away because the members, like I indicated earlier,
nobody was working.
Nobody was ready to actually. And then the receptionist also refused to take the invoice that the dispatch rider had brought to the commission. They only asked him to go away with the invoice, and they come back when the strike has been called.
Let's take a listen to exactly what he said and his reaction.
So me a delivering guy, and I'll be sending Beijing a check be embreno. But me buy no so like obia the my check no obia ni ho. But I'm struggling until maybe meet him out so say me say I can come back for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So me to my friend Ibana also and also okay, no problem. So bibi near and no be friend.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Strike anything almost say.
For me, yeah, because me but son or more catch them. Because I had me member had a name first member, but the more kind there because I there own him on team in ditching your. So never just so say so they own him to just over there to now friend Ibana or small. To me, my friend also okay, no problem. So be near. Over my son come back or Jaben. All right.
That's a dispatch rider seeking to do business at the Electoral Commission, which is on strike as a result of that declaration of an indefinite strike by the Public Services Workers Union. We're going for our very first break here on NewsCentral. When we return, Bernard Mono of the PNC headed to the Supreme Court to seek to re-enter the 2024 presidential race. We have details for you if you stay with us.
Of the People's National Convention has served notice he will head to the Supreme Court to seek justice over his disqualification from the 2024 presidential race. It follows an Accra High Court decision to refuse and dismiss Bernard Mono's application to overturn the Electoral Commission's disqualification. The court had last week advised the Electoral Commission not to take any action that could be substantial while the court's ruling was pending. We can now bring you more on the story. Lord Iduasare is our legal correspondent. He's here in the studio with me. Lord, you were in court today. Tell us a bit more about the judge's reasons behind, the outturn of this case, really.
Right, so, Kim, you know this has been going on for a while now. In considering Bernard Mona's application, the judge, Justice Richard Apioti, considered 5 key main issues that he used for his reasoning. Now, the first one was whether the Electoral Commission indicated the specific grounds for the disqualification, also whether Bernard Mona was heard and provided room to correct these errors or anomalies, and whether the disqualification was irrational. Again, whether the judicial review which he was seeking should be granted, and then whether the anomalies are the only grounds for the disqualification. Now, he lumped them up and then gave the explanation. Now, as far as the errors were concerned, the judge did indicate that from the Bernard Mona's submission, both parties, which is the Electoral Commission and Bernard Mona, did admit that he was given the form, he filled it, and then submitted it on the same day. And so Bernard Mona cannot say that he wasn't given room to correct the errors, or the errors that he was supposed to correct were not identified, because once he was given the form, the EC indicated all those. Now, he even went ahead to chide the PNC that you've been doing filing nominations for your presidential candidates since, what, 92? And so you have a wealth of experience, and you should have been more meticulous and vigilant in helping your candidates fill out his form rather than turn around and come blame the Electoral Commission. And then there was also the issue of the signatures, some 4 signatures that the EC cited that appeared the kind of amounted to fraud, because according to the EC, they belong to 4 individuals, but it appeared that it had been signed by 1 person. Now, the judge indicated that from the documents that was before him, using ocular evidence and observation, it did appear that
it was from the same person.
It was not a coincidence. And so he considered all this and then refused and dismissed the application by Bernard Mona.
I mean, this must have been disappointing for Bernard Mona and his lawyers, especially because you recall that when the judge first sat on the case, he had put an injunction of sort on the Electoral Commission not to do anything. But then, the proper case is heard, and this is the outcome. What did they say?
Well, his demeanor was, he looked quite disappointed. Whilst the reading was ongoing, he was twitching and turning, looking at the members who were present, because the room was filled with supporters and other members of the PNC. Now, the lawyer who came represented him was Harold Atuguba. He indicated that he disagreed with the decision of the courts because the issues that they wanted addressed were not addressed. He said the judge rather considered different documents from what they wanted him to take a look at. We can listen to Harold.
Okay, so let me just put this in perspective. The first letter that was written on the 13th of September 2024 and addressed to Mr. Mon was to the effect that there were errors on certain pages of the nomination forms. Now, they had identified those particulars in the 13th of September letter. Now, the forms were given back to our clients. They corrected them and resubmitted. The communication on the 20th of September, which was actually the reason for his disqualification, and I want you to get this difference. There was no particulars provided in that second letter of the 20th of September, which was the basis of Mr. Mona's disqualification. So the two letters are not the same.
So you disagree with the court when he says the two are the same?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if the court had come to the conclusion that the two letters were not the same, obviously the conclusion would have been different.
I see. But the disqualified candidate himself, we saw in that video, was in court. Did he speak to the press?
Indeed. he said that he's not satisfied. They'll take it to a higher court and have it possibly quashed or reviewed because they are obviously not pleased with the outcome of what has become.
As a journalist, what is your definition of several errors and omissions? What is the type of error are they talking about? Is it data entry error? Is it error of composition, error of commission, or error of transposition? What is the type of error were they talking about in that? And how come that those errors were not brought to us? Now, if you run to court and you are talking about look-alike signatures, look-alike signatures cannot be several errors. They are defined. Look-alike signatures cannot be several omissions. So these are specificity with which the Electoral Commission then came to court. So clearly you can see that the judge did not look at the issue that was brought to us, to it. It just went round. And I have already instructed my lawyers that this case is not ending here. We will go to the Supreme Court at the most so that this matter will be determined. And that is why my lawyer said that they will quickly apply for the judgment based on the study. Of course, we just listen to it. We will study it critically. But I have already instructed them that we have to go to the Supreme Court because I do not think that multi-party democracy should be jettisoned just from the corners of the Electoral Commission without our...
Well, it looks like we'll be covering this story for a while in the future. Thank you so much for bringing us details of that report. Lord Eduasare is our legal affairs correspondent. He was in court where the High Court in Accra entrenched Bernard Mona's disqualification. Now he says he will be headed to the Supreme Court for more on this case. Remember, we are your election command center.
At More Motors, we keep you moving with our 24/7 mobile mechanic service.
We are your election command center. Now, with 47 days to the general elections, John Mahama is piling pressure on the governing New Patriotic Party to apologize to Ghanaians over the supposed mismanagement of the economy, which has seen the aged and retired desperately begging for their locked-up funds as a result of the debt restructuring program. Speaking at Swan Lake in the Okankwe North constituency here in Accra, John Mahama assured that he remains the most credible candidate.
About to a between I did back when I was here beside your home. And they said, there was sitting not to a papa. Ezu, and we said, meaning, sir, and she work here, I came with. It was Shaka Clay, every day on my down for all my year. And so can I put the pato to all now, your sister assignment. And your man, and your man, Koye. Na se anka eyadea omutie na omutimi kache Ghana for ampa ya fomu emi se nia e ka se ebetimi aye no ye ba ye hu se edwuma na edin se na yenim se president Mahama sa na obre enti ka sa ye kan nyina ye pa mo acho mo fa nchen enso omunni sa ahobrase no ano pe bia o be bie radio na omanu gbe ezu kopem so mu ti bi campus e yes o Ghana for ene mo asitna ya kra chen abra president Mahama wo ho ebe ubenya so be to cement 24 cities I never thought 100 and something cities. Ezu, Ubena said, now we'll talk petrol 14 cities. I never put 70 cities, only petrol on top. Banks are almost good, and compare no more bankers. I only do my UT Bank, Unibank. I'll bet to two banks. I and a bit to Pano, a bit a driving Uber, a bit a year for professional bankers. Omujina Oma sense omoko promoti and omo twen say nyame fa through 7 December nia omunya ne say omo mpa Ghana fo acho say ejuma no no mu nim say sa na tie omo hu say president Mahama eye no bibia koso yo no mo ka say da fom ejo omo be fa ye no omo ehunye ene wo bisa omo bibia free SHS will be some will be here, free SHS. Will be some will be here, free SHS.
That's the NDC flag bearer John Mahama saying that this government ought to apologize because they criticized him greatly when he was in office and yet they didn't know how to handle the affairs of the state. Their response to every challenge thrown at them is the free SHS. To the camp of the governing New Patriotic Party, where its flag bearer, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, is expected in Ho today, some assembly members of the Ho Municipal Assembly, they are raising concerns over the ongoing construction of a fence wall around the newly built Assembly Office complex. The aggrieved assembly members, led by the presiding member, Maunyo Agbe, says the project is one of the 9 that the General Assembly at its last sitting disapproved and expunged from the Assembly's mid-year budget. They are accusing the municipal chief executive and the NPP's parliamentary candidate Divine Boson of engaging in an illegality and a mess. Volta regional correspondent Faisal Abdul Idrisu will join us shortly, but let's connect with Daniel Opoku, who's following the vice president on his tour of the Volta region. Daniel, talk to us about what the NPP flag bearers' day has been like thus far.
Currently, the vice president is at Peki, where he's in a meeting with the Peki Traditional Council, and the council was able to sort prayers for the vice president. And most importantly, this morning he went to North Town, where he also met with the clergy. It's a normal routine that he does. Every constituency that he goes, he tries to meet the clergy, the traditional leaders, the chiefs, and residents of the community. Exactly what he did this morning. And they inform me about the challenges that they have. For instance, they have problems with their roads. They also have problems with their schools and other infrastructure difficulties. and the Vice President promised them to get all those resolved. But most importantly, in the crux of the Vice President's statement at North Tongue this morning was the fact that he's going to promote an all-inclusive government now when it comes to power. And also for those who work within the fishing community, the fisher folk, Dr. Mahmoud talking about the bringing of an electric outboard motor, which the first step of it will arrive at the end of this month. And that's what all those who work within the fishing community are going to benefit from this particular one. And secondly, you've also been talking about trying to fix the problem. For instance, government rolling out the tractor policy, the drift policy, where tractors and excavators were made available to the various districts. And he asked the various municipal assemblies to ensure that all roads in the communities, with the rolling out of this policy, they should be able to resolve the particular problem. And the one issue that the Vice President also talked about has to do with agriculture, which is the bedrock of Ghana's development. He says that when he becomes president, he's going to ensure that a lot of funding is put into agriculture and to ensure a lot of food security and also address the issue of food sufficiency for every Ghanaian to benefit. That's what the Vice President has been talking about, and also the need to import solar power into the country. Major policies the Vice President has mentioned when he met those in North Tongue and currently with those at the traditional council aspect.
What next for him after North Tongue? Right,
so after North Tongue, he's moved to traditional council. He moved to Peki. Right after Peki, he'll be having what we call the Baumia Connect, where he'll be engaging other leaders in the community, the youth in the community, for them to also share their view with regard to the problems they have. Then he will put those problems into a paper, into a diary, then proper solutions to them when he wins power. Then he will also sell his idea to the youth. Already has promised the need to roll out over 1 million digital solution jobs when it comes to power. And especially when it comes to the North Tongue and the Peki area, the water sector is a major job creation facility which currently has been shut down. Dr. Muhammad Baumia has promised them that when he wins power, he's going to raise sophisticated to that particular industry so that a lot of the youth can be recruited, a lot of the youth can be provided with employment when it comes to power. These are the basic things that Dr. Muhammad Baumia has been talking about.
Daniel, let's hear from the Vice President for himself.
We deeply believe that it is possible for this nation, our country, to be as advanced as any other nation on the face of this earth. And if we believe in God and work hard and plan well, I believe that it is possible for Ghana to be a very developed nation. Not many people believed when I contested to become the leader and the flag bearer of the new patriotic party. Not many people believed that it was possible because many people had never envisaged, because many people thought the MPP always elected Akan leaders. And this is a case where there is someone from the minority tribe in the country coming to contest for the leadership of the new patriotic party. So many people said it was not going to happen. I would not be voted for. But I said it's only God who makes leaders. And so I believe that we...
That's the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahamadou Baumia, in the Volta region. Daniel Opoku is with him, touring, and there'll be a lot more updates on the campaign trail with the NPP. From there, we can take you to the regions now.
Now, the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union is calling on the Inspector General of Police to caution his men to desist from attacking tanker drivers on the highway. The angry group raised concerns over recent smashing of windscreens and injuring drivers in the process for not stopping for convoys to pass on highways. The drivers stated the nature of products they carry does not allow for them to make a sudden stop. Let's speak to Ashanti region correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar, who's been following the story. Ibrahim, what else can you tell us about this?
Currently, like the drivers are saying, they cited some incidents that occurred somewhere last week and last 2 weeks, where some of their drivers were attacked and windscreen smashed by dispatch riders. And the latest was on October 15, where a driver was even injured to the extent, and they were saying that this can even cause an accident. The fact that the drivers have not even comply with the road regulations doesn't mean an officer in uniform should also take the law into its own hands and destroy their vehicles to the extent of even injuring the drivers. And like you rightly mentioned, these are drivers who are carrying inflammable products, and for that matter, when they see a convoy coming, they cannot make that sudden stop because their vehicle is likely to somersault and result in a disaster or even an accident. So they are just pleading with the Inspector General of Police to talk with his men, else they will be left with no option than also take the law into their own hands and start protecting themselves. The regional chairman of the union, Edmond Baba, has been speaking to me.
Now, this thing has happened over and over. This is about the fourth time we are encountering such a thing. Now, what we want the IGP to know is this. We want him to sound a word of warning to his dispatch riders. Otherwise, we also defend ourselves. Yes, because we cannot allow somebody in the name of wearing a police uniform and saying he or she is a dispatch rider, and for that matter, what do we call it, leading a convoy of, I don't know who it is, to come and kill us. We can't do that because we carry a hazardous load and our vehicles are big. 54,000 liters. It's not 54,000, what do we call it? I don't know how to describe it. So for them to be treating us this way, that means we also have to defend ourselves. He was only fortunate to have been wounded on the forehead, but if it had hit his eye, and he's in the emotion, what do you think would have happened? By the time he would come back, gain conscience, the vehicle would have been somewhere. And you know hazardous product, how it can react. You get me? He may fall down and it will spark fire.
Well, Ibrahim, what do we know about the driver in question whose injuries we have seen in the last video clip that we showed, but also whether or not the men in uniform are looking into the incidents? Talk to us about those.
Well, currently we are told that he's receiving treatment at the hospital, but he's in a stable condition. In fact, they decided to come out today because they said this is something that has been reoccurring. He's not the first driver to be injured. They have written letters to the IGP seeking his audience, but as we speak, they've not heard anything from the IGP or his office. That's why they had to come and make this public statement so that in an event the IGP or the public hear that they have confrontation with these dispatch riders, then they shouldn't be blamed for doing so. So currently, the police have not come out to say anything on this matter.
Ibrahim, We'll leave it here. Thank you so much. But we'll have you stay on just a little bit more because we want to talk about those teachers who were recruited between the period 2012 and 2015 and are now demanding payment of their legacy arrears. Ibrahim, explain to us what these teachers are saying.
Well, like you said, these are teachers who were recruited in 2012 and 2015, and they said they were not paid around that period. And then government gave them that assurance that that the MPP gave them that assurance that when it comes to power, it will pay. But in 2020, some payment was made. But this payment was rather for teachers who were recruited between 2016 and 2019. It means that those of them who were recruited earlier, 2012 to 2015, have still not been paid. They have made several efforts to get attention of authorities, yet they are not hearing anything positive. And they believe that it's not as if they want this money for no work done. It is a job that they have done, and they want their payment to be given to them. Else, they will have to go on demonstration and also picket at the Jubilee House. Nana Poku-Foster is the national president of these agreed teachers.
I mean, we'll take a listen to Nana Poku in subsequent broadcasts. But do you know if government has said anything as to why these teachers have not received the monies due them and when they will get those monies?
Well, for now, no official communication has come out. You speak to government officials, they keep insisting that all legacy arrears for teachers have been paid. And they are talking about from 2016 to date. They are not even factoring 2012 to 2015. But we are yet to hear officially from the DG, Director General of Ghana Education Service. They said they have a meeting with him, and that is yet, and they have had a series of meetings with him, and he has given them that assurance. But from all indications, nothing appears to be working because anytime they go back, they do not hear positive news from his outreach and also that of government.
Have they taken any decision as to what their next line of action will be?
And they said after today, they are giving the government up to 1 week. If they do not see the money hitting to their account, then they have two other things to do. One, they will go on demonstration, after which they will picket at the Jubilee House until their monies are released for them before they leave to their respective teaching places.
So much for talking to us. We can now take a listen to leader of the teacher union.
There's only three things that we are seeking for. A clear-cut plan for us on how payments are going to be made, that all members should be paid, and that is all what we are looking for. That is all we are seeking for. And our data, which is the 2015 data, the year group, should be reinstated onto the system so they will know how much they owe us. That is it. We are looking at going on a nationwide demonstration with our families, with our members, and everybody who matters. We are going on a nationwide demonstration before the election. After that, members will try our best and pick it at the Jubilee House to show that we are very serious on this issue, that the government should pay our monies that is due us. It is not as if we didn't work. We worked. We worked for the money, and the money is due us. We need to be paid. I can't work for 2 years and you pay me 3 months. It doesn't speak well. So we need our money. Other than that, we are going on a nation demonstration, and then we'll go for picketing with our members and our families at the Jubilee House.
Away from Regional Hub, my son was stabbed with a jackknife and not scissors, according to the post-mortem conducted on him. This was revealed by father of the O'Reilly Senior High School student who was stabbed to death while in school. The disclosure comes at a time police are yet to make public the official autopsy report since the trial began. TV3's George Queenan reports parties to the case have been asked to return on November 4 as the court awaits advice from the Attorney General.
For the fifth time, the District Court has heard the O'Reilly SHS murder case, and it has been adjourned to the 4th of November. And this morning, there was a bit of tension between the judge and the police CID. The fact is, the police CID has been accused of coming in late with the accused person, and hopefully on the 4th of November, maybe he might come in early. But families of the deceased are not really happy about turn of event. For them, the delay is really impacting their lives. They are demanding swift justice for their lost soul. And I would want to talk to the father of the deceased, Mr. Saki, and some family members who were in court this morning. What transpired in court today?
What transpired in court today, there's, how do you call it, the investigator said the docket is still with Attorney General, which has not come to the court for the past 2 to 3 months now. I don't know what they are doing with this case, because up and down has been too much. And this is a direct something. This is a murder case. So up and down, I'm not getting it. You understand? Things are really trying to get out of hand. I just want them to know things are getting out of hand, because if we are not getting things clear, we'll storm the school there.
Which is a bit not lawful.
Yeah, it is. Why? The reason why I'm saying it is the incidents happen at the school, and there are school authorities which they decide not to mind till I lose my son. So I can also go there. Either a teacher will lose his life or a student will lose his life. The war is 50-50 something, because what they are doing right now, they are putting some different mind in my head that you can kill and go free.
Leave the judiciary to do their work. Maybe at the end of the day, the justice you are seeking will be given to you.
How long? How long? How long? Tell me how long.
You also said, sir, that according to the autopsy report, it's not scissors. The boy didn't use scissors. He actually used
a knife. Yeah.
Tell us more.
Yeah. I was right there when the autopsy was. Yeah. So I questioned the doctor. What happened? What is it? A stab of scissors or something? He said, no, this is not a scissors. It's a knife.
And George Quinn with details. Listen, we want to direct you to somewhere where you stay informed with the latest news update and exclusive videos by following us on 3news.gh. That's where you'll find all things news from our quote cards, breaking stories, and behind-the-scenes content all at one place. It is 3news.gh on Instagram. That needs to be emphasized greatly. It's on Instagram. It's where you find us. Follow and be a part of what is a wonderful Media General family. That's our bulletin for you to start off yet another week. I am Mawina Igbeta.
Here with you, the entire return of Parliament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whether or not there is a majority or a minority, you find out with us here at your election command center. I'm Kemini Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow, all right? You'll be on the ground. All right, bye-bye.